Innocent until proven guilty. Hans Niemann has been front page news for the last month. Did he cheat against Magnus? Only time will tell. I'm going to take you through 2 games. First one is against Magnus Carlsen. The second one is a game from the US Championships. I was shocked how fast Hans went down in that game. But first, let's see his game against Magnus. Let's see how you beat Hans Niemann. A3, already a shock. To be honest with you, I don't think this move even matters. You might be thinking, why is the world champion playing such a random pawn move? Later on, if you can find a way to make this pawn move useful, then it's like, yeah, it's just totally fine. Other than that, it just looks like a totally random move. So now, it's like a Queen's Gambit, except there's just some pawn on A3 stopping a piece coming out to B4. And Hans is playing some sort of Slav opening. Alright, a very solid way to play. Magnus goes bishop grabbing. Please bear this idea in mind in your own games. Whenever the bishop is outside the chain, white actually has a chance to go after it. Hans wants to keep the bishop, you attack it, and now a capture happens in the center. Big decision by Magnus, and now g3. What a strange move. Is the point in this move to defend a knight? No. Give this knight a chance to come back in the game. Because maybe this knight isn't actually grabbing this bishop after all. Or is it? Knight out. Knight retreats, and now Hans puts pressure in the center. Magnus defends. Really weird pawn chain. Bishop out and knight f4. Bishop retreats by Niemann. When I first saw this position, I was thinking, this bishop is actually better than this bishop, so grab it. You can't take this way or else your center drops. When you capture this way towards the center, this bishop is now alive. It's still alive. Whereas this bishop is going to find it very hard to get in the game. So I would have gone for this. Just want to play on a little bit. Just want to show you a cool tactical moment. Because the bishop is alive, black actually has a really nice move here. Knight e4. I don't think I've ever got the chance to play this kind of move in my own games. Knight to the center, knight d6, the game goes on. And this bishop is just so strong. Now back to the game. Knight goes to f4. Going after the bishop, Niemann retreats. Magnus grabs the bishop pair. Tactic, bishop takes g3 check. So then you win the rook. Magnus defends with the king, and then king to g2. In this position, it looks a little bit silly, to be honest. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawn moves have been made. Looks like Magnus has only got the knight out. The king has just slid over, whereas Niemann has got 4 pieces in the game, a center as well. Let's see what happens. Castle, g4, planning to get a kingside attack. Even h4, h5 coming. But also g4 is to discourage a pawn break. Black's only break is to open up the center, and guess what? Niemann does it. And Niemann is now taking over. The whole point of Magnus playing this move is to stop this break, but he went for it. g5. If you move the knight, the pawn drops, but you take first. Both knights are now under attack. You capture back. And is Niemann in some trouble? No. Niemann is fine. Magnus has actually made a mess of it. The king is just so weak. The knight moves away. Take. Niemann gets the central pawn. Queen takes d4. Take, take. This knight might come into b3 now to attack both. Also, really, this arrow, I want that pawn back on g3, so then it controls the f4 square. Because this knight could come into f4 later. It's not looking good. The game goes on. Rook b1. Cool idea, pointed out by the engine. Rook e8, so then it can come round. If bishop here, maybe rook e5. That's a cool idea, hitting both. Really cool idea. If you move the knight back, knight here, rook here. However, Niemann went for this. Bishop d3, Rook d1. Check out the blue arrows. Black has 2 pieces on it, on f4, but now black has a 3rd. I think black's doing alright, but after this move, there's a really strong bishop in the center. And if you cannot dislodge this, then Magnus has a great position. One option is actually to just kick the bishop away and then come back. Some weird repetition, but that was not played. King f8, bishop out, check. Things now simplify. Take, and no way do you take. The winning chances are just so low now. No, Magnus keeps the bishop pair, drop the king back, and now there's this brilliant bishop right in the center. This bishop can even come out to the queen side. b6, and now after this, the guy loses a pawn. Just want to show you, if you play a move like rook here, this move works as well, coming in, but you actually just pick up the knight. The rook is hanging, so something's gone wrong for Niemann. If you went here, it's the same thing. The rook will take the rook after this, so no. And sensible move is like this, but now there's a lot of pressure. There's just a lot of pressure. A couple of bishops just slicing the board. Very difficult to move. Now back to the game. King f1, b6. Hit the rook, grab the pawn, and now you come back. The funny thing is, didn't even take. That's what I would have done, but then black's pawns are totally messed up. In the game, knight d4 played. And now there's no chance really to pick up this pawn. If we go back to this moment, if Niemann took, one option was to damage the structure. It is 4 against 4, but it's not the same quality. These 2 pawns totally contain black's 3 pawns, and we get 2 against 1. This is a very good endgame for white. Get the c-file, get the pawns rolling. So this transition could have happened. Knight d4, hit the bishop, hit the rook. Okay, now what? Now h4 is possible, but he goes a4 first. The reason h4 isn't possible is because there's this really cool tactic. I'll give you a 3-second timer. Can you find a really good move for black? Getting the pawn back. The move is bishop takes pawn. Can't take because your bishop is hanging as well, so the rooks might come off and then the game goes on. Now back to the game. Let's go back a few moves. That's why Magnus actually played a4, or else that move looks a little bit random right now. a4, h4. Magnus is up a pawn. Check. But now what? Drop the bishop back. Defend. Check. Check. And now begins a series of checks. Bishop c5 check. Bishop back. Check. 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 Okay. Now what? Well, this bishop absolutely dominates the knight. There are no entry squares. This bishop is an incredible piece. King attacks a knight. Knight now drops back. Pin the knight. Check. Okay, trying to break open the structure, but now rook e4. Multi-purpose move. To defend the pawn? Yeah. To double the rooks? Yes, but there's also one other function. Niemann attacks the rook, it goes to c4. Offering a trade. Really cool sequence coming up. Have a look at this. Really cool sequence. Check. The checks don't stop, but they do stop now. After bishop c5 check, Magnus plays a brilliant move. I think you can move the king, but really cool finish here. You actually grab the bishop. Why? In the game, rook takes was played, so let's have a look at pawn takes first. You grab that pawn. Hit the rook. It has the chance to actually come back to hit the knight and the rook. This bishop, once again, dominates the knight. It cannot hop in. Rook moves somewhere. You can throw in a check and then come back, and then you're actually going to pick something back up here and then totally winning. Like I've said a few times already, 2 against 1, and well, 3 against 2 here, which also means 1 against 0. So white is actually winning on both sides of the board. Now back to the game after this. Brilliant move here by Magnus. Take with the rook, and now pin and win it back. Knight moves, check, and here we go. I've said it before, 2 against 1. Drop the bishop back, check, defend the pawn, no, don't defend it, pin the knight first. Check, can't take, you lose your knight, king. Okay, 3-second timer again. Can you see a brilliant move with the bishop going after the king? Drop the bishop back to f1. Bishop g2 check, you're gonna win the knight. So king has to get out there. Push the pawn, take. Brilliant outside pass pawn. You can always be supported by the bishop coming to g2. Push, check, king, 1-2, options, bishop here, bishop out. Bishop continues to dominate the knight. 3 against 3, right? 3 against 3, right? Wrong. These 2 pawns are liabilities. Check. Rook e7, offer a trade. Really cool rook lift. Now we see Magnus's point. Rook lift also offers a rook exchange. Check. Take. 3 against 3. No. Game over. Bishop f7. Magnus now picks up the pawn. And guess what? He doesn't even waste time picking this up. You know before it was against... You know before here, I mean, it was 2 against 1. Well, now it's 1 against 0. And here, Magnus sets it up. 2 against 1 on the right. Doesn't even waste time capturing that pawn. Push, and game over. Knight e7. Can't go here, we can always blunder. He actually controls the queening square. Bishop f7. Bishop, once again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It dominates the knight. There's no way for the black knight to come in. Game over. US Championships. Darius Sviats against Niemann. We have a Catalan. Bishop b4 check. Block. Bishop retreats. Really funny move. The point of this is not because Niemann just changed his mind, no way. It's because then the queen doesn't actually have control of the d5 square. Whereas if we go back to this moment, the queen also controls d5. That's why people throw in this check. Bishop out, and now we have this situation, knight d7. So the knights defend each other. Black is going to find a way to strike in the center. Queen c2, defend the center. That's the green arrow. The blue arrow means we're going to go for a pawn break, trying to open up the center. Triangle center. Very solid way to play by Niemann. Rook to the center. b3. Defend. And the blue arrow showed that, well, the knight might actually come here to support the central break, right? Wrong. Actually, Darius now moves that bishop out the way. Bishop here, so then the knight might come to d2 and then go e4. Couple of pawn breaks. Black needs to free his position because black has less space. Which pawn break is he going to go for? Bishop out, knight d2, queen c7. So the queens face each other. Queen and rook both face each other. Pawn break is going to happen soon. The center should blow up pretty soon. Queen out the way, and now c5. So you take me, I take you. A lot of captures can happen. This capture happened. Time to recapture with a piece. Niemann chose bishop. e4, hit the bishop, it drops back. So a couple of pawns in the center, they look strong. That's not true. The d4 pawn is likely to be gone very soon. And then something like this. If white played a nothing move, take. Nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong with black's position. So I think white needs to act fast in order to get some advantage. Bishop retreats. Rook faces the queen. It moves out the way as well. e5 hit the knight. It goes to the center. Knight c4. Couple of ideas. The knight might hop into d6. Knight might hop into g5, but there is a bishop controlling that square at the moment. The queen goes in the corner. Fair enough. I know the engine gives it a dubious symbol, but the queen is now on a more active post. Unfortunately, white now has an active option, knight d6. And this wasn't played. I'm not going to go through this because it's so similar to the game. Darius decided to trade first and then come in. Now, what's the difference between this and the other line? Not too much. Bishop takes, and a brilliant move here for white. Pause the video now, or let the 3-second timer run. Can you see a brilliant in-between move right now? The move is knight g5, threaten checkmate first. That's very important. You might be thinking, well, so what? Why not take, get my bishop back? It's because the queen and bishop are now so useful on this diagonal. There's a brilliant move here for black, knight f4. Hitting the bishop, queen and bishop line up on the f3 knight. Take, take. Black is doing all right. You can push the pawn, block, take, take. Knight against bishop. Pawn is going nowhere. Queen is very well placed, attacking a doubled f pawn. This is no good. So if we go back a few moves, take, knight g5, we threaten checkmate, g6 played, and now take. White has a wonderful position. This bishop is the star player, just controlling so many squares. Bishops are worth 3 points, but in my opinion, this bishop is probably worth 6. This bishop deserves a raise. Queen b8 makes sense from Niemann. Makes a lot of sense because you just need to attack that pawn. Rook to c4, the rook now plans to swing over. Just want to show you this brilliant tactical moment. You can actually crash through with this. You can actually crash through right now. I've got lots of arrows just to show a few ideas, but forget it. I need to simplify this for myself and for the viewer. Take, rook c4. This is all right. Rook here, and then it's going to be mate in the corner. If you do nothing, classic, just a classic pattern. So you have to block this diagonal, or you give yourself a little bit of space. f5 is possible. Check, here, check. Queen c1 is given as a top engine option. I don't care. I want to show you a simple option. The king is in the middle. Time to just take in the center. And the queen is going to come in. I think this option is nice. Just blow it open. Just blow it open. It's time to sacrifice. It makes sense to sack. Look at all of black's major pieces. The queen and 2 rooks are on the back. Mate. If you move the king, mate. If you block the knight, check. Take. And this position is totally winning for white. Is it level? I think so. Yeah, 5 pawns each. But after this move, black can't move. Let me explain each arrow. Bishop dominates the knight. That knight is not actually a great piece because you can kick it away. This rook is much better than this rook. And the queen can sneak in later. Something like this. f3. You can't actually move the knight away because that is game over. So, if we go back a few moves, Darius chose another option. He didn't sack on h7, he just played a good move anyway. The rook is going to come join the party. Kick the knight away. Does the knight have to move? Nope. Take. Crashing in style. Game over. Mate all of a sudden. So, after h6, take with, recapture with the knight, and now you crash through. The amazing thing is, once the dust settles, the amazing thing is, white isn't even down any material. Normally, you actually have to pay a price to get a position this good. This bishop is not worth 3 points, it's worth 6. White is up an asset on d6. Hit the rook, hit the rook. You don't actually need to retreat your rook. Take, and you can get a queen. So, hit the rook, it blocks, and you can just retreat the rook. Queen d3 is possible as well. In this position, Niemann actually resigned, but if we play on a little bit, queen d3, An idea is just to go here, and then it's going to be mate on this diagonal. Threaten mate, you can block it. You can even go here, that's a sneaky move, because then it's mate all of a sudden. Here you can take the rook, check, 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 swing. Classic pattern. You can block with the queen, game over. So that's a really cool pattern. So in this position, Niemann, he just had enough. After d7, he actually threw in the towel. Here. And yeah, I mean, black can hardly move. So, this is how you beat Hans Niemann.